Good morning, I'm Keith B, and this is my second time making this video. Production tip, if you're going to use a hand cam, then don't forget to mute the camera's audio when you record. Also, don't spill coffee all over your controller and yourself when making a video. I'll make a video about how not to make a video one day. I want to talk about today these these are called the combo extension buttons from Hitbox. I got them on my controller here. This is not a Hitbox, well, it's a Hitbox layout controller. It's the Junk Food Arcade's lunchbox, kind of a custom build. You can take a look at it. They don't make these anymore, I don't think anyway, but I got this a few years ago. I built it. These are gamer finger buttons for the rest of it here, which I really like. They're using silver switches. And then these two buttons here, these clear buttons, have these square extension buttons on them. So it's two buttons. You get 4 for the price of 2, I guess. And these are the combo extension buttons. I picked these up at Combo Breaker, and I had a chance to chat with the really helpful Hitbox staff there. Who I don't remember their names because I've met like a lot of people. I also got to chat with Super Akouma, who's also using one of these on his Hitbox that he plays on in tournament, and he's got a video about these as well. So if you're interested in these things, definitely check his stuff out. I just want to say a quick disclaimer: I am not in any way affiliated with any of the companies that I mentioned. I'm just making a video about them because I think they're interesting. This particular controller is one that I built, and I threw these buttons in right after I went out of bracket, and I just started practicing them for about 2 weeks. And the way they work is you can take the normal button, you just attach normally and map it normally. So this is my jab, right? This is my up, because usually on Hitbox it's left, down, right, up. So the other button, you can do a couple of things with. You could map it like a normal button. You could just connect it to your PCB. It also does come with a little cool wiring harness thing that will let you connect this to the L3, R3, or touchpad very easily on a Brooks board or on a Hitbox PCB. If you don't have one of those PCBs, you'd probably have to do some soldering to get those connections. But I have a Brooks board, and here I have the PS5 Brooks board, so I was able to hook that up. And it also comes with a cool little wiring harness that lets you duplicate any input already on your stick or your Hitbox, which is kind of cool. It's really easy to do. It saves you the trouble of having to go in and connect wires and do soldering work. So they're very user-friendly. If you guys are interested in a video about like the different wiring harnesses and the different setups you can do inside the controller, I could make that. Just let me know in the comments, and I'd be happy to do something like that. Now, the way I have this set up here is I have this one set up to heat burst, and that's down by the thumb here, and then this one I have set to left, and I'll get into why in a moment. The other cool thing about these is they can be moved. You can position them. Like I can rotate it around. Now the wiring situation in my stick is a little tight, so I'm not going to rotate it all the way around, but they are designed for that, and I like them like this. This kind of dialed in. I like to have the buttons as close to each other as possible. That's just my preference. You could do a lot of different things. You could put these on any single button. This one's a 30mm, this one's a 24mm, and so on. So let's talk about what they are in the game, though, like the actual gameplay applications for it. The first thing that I tried was I wanted a heat burst input, and I was like, well, I'm not sure where I want it, so I tried it in a couple different places. I really like having it on the thumb, because what happens a lot of times is like people are attacking me in this game. Shocking, I know. So, like, let's say Reina's just out here, right? And she's doing, like, her Reina stuff. And then she just, like, throws me. That happens a lot. So, I'm over here, and I'm thinking, okay, when do I want to do my heat burst thing? And my heat burst is normally on this button, where I have my pinky, and I'm moving my index finger away from the throw breaks. I did not mean to do an unblockable there. away from the throw break. So what ends up happening is I'm thinking about heat burst and I don't break the throw. Well, if I have it on the thumb button here, I can have my thumb in place and then still be ready to break the throw. I wasn't ready there, but I was looking at the camera. There we go, we break the throw. So it's really nice to have it, and you can still just heat burst whenever you want. Just do it with your thumb. It's also really nice as, like, if you have a heat smash that's a good whiff punisher, you just have it at the ready. You don't have to do a 2+3. You don't have to do a bind over here. You just hit your thumb for, like, heat stuff. And I think that this stuff is really useful for modern fighting games, like having a thumb button, because you look at Street Fighter 6 has drive impact. Tekken has the heat stuff. Almost every new fighting game has like a thing that you have to hit on a reaction or near reaction basis in neutral to like activate something. So having the thumb button available for activating those things is really nice. I haven't tried this with Street Fighter 6, but I imagine I would really like it. I'll probably give it a try sometime over my next few weeks. I have a couple weeks off from work. So the other thing that's cool about this is this being a square button, I don't accidentally hit the up ever. I'm always know what button I'm on because it's shaped differently from the others. So that is actually kind of, I was a little hesitant, like, oh, these are weird little square buttons. Maybe they won't feel as good. Maybe I won't like them. I actually do like them. And these buttons both contain mechanical switches in them, which is cool. And I believe they're cherry red mechanical switches. I normally use silver switches in my buttons, but you could probably swap out the normal ones. I don't know if you can swap out the tiny square one or not. I didn't ask the Hitbox people that question. So overall, they feel pretty good. I like the feel of these, and they just kind of work well. I really like activating heat burst with my thumb, to the point where I'm probably going to be putting a thumb heat burst activation on any controller I build now. Like, I don't really want to go back to not having it now that I've used it. And I suspect that I've seen other products out there with like the drive impact levers and stuff. I think a lot of people are going to use this sort of thing because this layout, this hitbox layout was designed for Marvel 3 back in like 2012, and they haven't updated it since. So I think it is time to add some buttons, move some buttons around. That makes sense to me. Now, the other thing that I did is I made this a left. And this is also what Super Akouma did on his stick. He made this a left input. He's just playing with this on the jab right now. And what's interesting about that is if I were to be on player one side, the way I would normally backdash, like do Korean backdash cancel, is back, down, back, and then I would very quickly, because of the way that SOCD canceling works, tap forward to get my neutral input, and it looks like this, right? So I can backdash like that really quickly on player one side. I just have a very fast player one backdash. I'd say most people find that player one backdash is easier on hitbox versus like a stick or a pad. Where hitbox players get in trouble is player two side. Player two side, you do the same thing, but my ring finger here is not as strong as my pointer finger, just isn't. So I have a little bit more of a stutter step. You can kind of see it's just not as fast of a backdash. This is with a lot of player two side practice. I could probably practice a little more on player two side if I'm being honest. And but here's what the left lets you do in regards to backdashing. It opens up the ability to do back, down, back, and then use this left for my neutral input. And then I'm using my my right hand here to get the backdash. Now, going fast with it is a little weird right now because I haven't practiced this two-handed motion. I'm used to my left hand just controlling all of my character's movement in the game. But if I wanted to do this, and I can get a pretty clean looking backdash, it's just not consistent for me. So I'm going to practice on this for a few months, and I'll let you guys know if I do end up using it or if it's just kind of more of a gimmick. Super Akuma actually told me he is not using this as much as he feels he should be, and he just kind of forgets that it's here when he's playing sets. So I've definitely had that similar thing with the left button, but the 2+3 or the heat burst bind, I'm really liking that. I'm going to definitely keep using this. Now there's one more use case for this left button that I want to talk about here, and that is as it pertains to the Electric Wind Godfist. Electric on a hitbox is normally done, you do your crouch dash motion as forward, you know, down, and then you get your down forward, so forward, neutral, down, down, forward, right? And you just have kind of an easier time on player one side, in my opinion, than on other controllers to get the electric input. You can, I'm not very good at that, so it'll probably take me a second, but I can get them going if I practice a lot. There's another option for that, which is to use your right hand to hit this forward input and the punch simultaneously, which gives you kind of a, it's nice to buffer it out of movement, like sidestep, electric, wave dash, electric, oh, wave dash, electric, dash, electric, because your left hand does the movement, and then your right hand can finish the motion, and it's pretty easy to time because you're pushing it with the same hand versus trying to time it with two different hands. Now, on player 2 side, we are back to the problem where the ring finger is weaker than the pointer finger. So if I want to do my wave dash, it's not as fast on player 2 side. It's just a little slower than I would normally be able to do. So, and the other thing is, I'm really bad at electrics on player 2. I used to use Devil Jin as a secondary character, and I got okay at player 2 side electric. Like, I could just, like, do it at a backdash a little bit, or, like, as a whiff punisher. But really, like, doing a lot of them is not something that I was good at. What this does is it opens up the shortcut of using the right hand to hit the directional input and the punch at the same time. And so what we can do is something like this, and dash electric, you know, back dash into electric. We have sidestep electrics. We want to do wave dash. We can go. I can go a little faster. I haven't practiced too much. And then wave dash into electric. And it's quite, I, again, have not really practiced my electrics on player 2 side at all before making this video. I took this back to my hotel room. I messed around with Reina for like an hour, and I was like, that's neat. And then I went back to not playing Mishimas. So I think there's a lot of potential for the player 2 side of Mishima on Hitbox to benefit from this. If you're a Mishima player on Hitbox, I would definitely be thinking about using one of these extra left inputs on the controller. Now, I'm not the main man, so I'm not going to hit the 6 electric combo or whatever she can get. But I can do electrics decently consistent on player 2 side with minimal practice. I think that this will raise a question of what is allowed and what should be allowed in tournament play in regards to controller buttons and having extra buttons on your controller and having extra directional inputs on the controller. And that's a question that I think is for, you know, Bandai Namco, for the esports people, and for the broader community to kind of come to terms with what we think is acceptable. In my opinion, this stuff is just interesting. I like the technical aspect of it, and I like that it increases accessibility for people. Now, I don't play high execution characters, so it doesn't matter to me. If someone can do an electric a little bit easier, I don't really care, because all of my moves I can do very easily on my characters. The drawback is really just having these extra buttons. You might hit them. I personally don't have that issue because they're square shaped, but I know some people don't like having extra button binds. Like, some people will only bind these 4 because they don't want extra binds, because they might accidentally press them. I think this thumb button has a lot of potential, and I think stick players, hitbox players, anyone who's playing on anything other than a pad is going to find this very useful, because on a pad, you have the shoulder buttons all here, and you have the stick buttons here, right? Here. So you have quick access to heat burst on pad in a way that you don't on an overhand style controller like this. So I think that a lot of us should start using this. I'm definitely going to use a thumb heat burst bind in tournament, unless they outlaw it. And I mean, I can't really see how they would outlaw it, because I could just cap one of these buttons and have a button here. There's no rules about where I have to put the buttons on my controller. The pinky buttons are really far. I don't really use these that much. I don't need them. I could cap these off, and I could have buttons accessible to my thumb. I don't really think there's a problem with that personally. I think that's just ingenuity and moving the design forward. Having multiple directional inputs, that's a different question, and I think you know, it remains to be seen. We haven't really seen too many people using the cross-ups and stuff like that. I saw a few hitbox cross-ups in tournament, but generally we haven't seen like top players adopting this stuff. So I think it'll be interesting to see where the conversation goes, and how you know, Bandai Namco is generally pretty behind the times with controller regulations. Capcom has way more rules about what you can and can't do than they do on the esports side of things. So definitely, if you have an opinion about this, if you think that these buttons are cheap or you're interested in them, let me know in the comments. I'm definitely interested to see how the discussion continues moving forward. Hopefully you guys found this interesting, and I hope to see you next time.